and then I manage to do something that ticks them off, and they go away.
How long have you been on the platform?
I guess about a year. How about you?
I'm almost exactly a year as well. It's interesting. We probably started about the same time or joined about the same time. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm nowhere near 586 subscribers. So
I appreciate that. I need
yeah,
subscribers. That's what I look at
right. Exactly.
because that
That's
actually
bullshit
pays my
anyway.
bills, to some
It
extent.
doesn't matter anyways. It's for me again. As I said last time, this is a hobby for me. I
Yeah.
have another career, or at least I do have another career. Yes, and I'm really a scientist. Research scientist. This is just kind of a thing I do for fun, the writing thing, and it would be nice maybe if it could be a career. Maybe it wouldn't be so nice. I don't know, but
Oh, that's
so
right. You have that
I
deep
do.
biochemistry background, right?
Yes, microbiology, close microbiology, molecular biology. But I'm into a lot of different things as I talked about last time. So, but
I
yeah, that's sort of my stock and trade where I make my money.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people are making their money off of that these days because there's so many microbes out there that are trying to kill us, right?
Well, actually, there's many more that are saving us and helping us, and it's one of those big misconceptions about microbiology and the whole people calling them germs, which really bothers me. I hate that word germs. Really hate that word. That word should be banned. I think it is
Yeah.
a derogatory term. Microorganisms is a preferred term, and they are by and large a huge vast majority very very helpful to people, the planet. We couldn't be here without them. In fact, no life could be here without them. In my
Right.
opinion, I think in the universe, any life we find in the universe, absolutely first is probably going to be microbial life. There's many reasons for that I could get into. It would bore the crap out of everybody, I'm sure. So,
I don't know if it would be boring the crap out of me, and if I'm the only audience I care about, really.
that's
Well, I will say that my paid subscribers are my board of directors. They don't seem to want to direct me, and I'm not sure that I can be directed, but they haven't tried yet. So
cool. All right.
anyway, let's get back to microbiology for a second there, because
Sure.
I've got this theory that it's a really bad idea to send spam in a can up into space. That it's very expensive, and it's not really sustainable long term. I don't believe. What do you think?
What is the point? So sending spam into space. I've not heard this. Maybe I'm out of the loop here.
Well, I'm talking about us, right?
Oh,
Sending
yeah.
us, human beings, like to colonize the moon.
Yes. I guess I'm interested because I am a space enthusiast. Let's put it that way, a technology enthusiast. I'm interested in the idea of human exploration of space, but at the moment, from a technology perspective, we're nowhere near ready to do that. I think, and we've got so many problems here on our own planet. I think that need urgent attention, and to be moved, taking dollars and resources to something that's not really ready yet. I think to me, in my mind, is kind of wasteful, and it's something for the ultra rich maybe to do in their spare time or something if they want to. But if tax dollars and things are getting wasted on it, to send people again, exploration of space, totally all for it, absolutely. Satellites, whatever it's got to be, but people in space right now, I just don't think we're necessarily ready to go there.
Uh, yeah, I think our robots can do a fine job for us. Have been doing.
Yeah.
Um, and the problem being the biome, right? All those
Well,
micro.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, that's a huge, at NASA, all the space agencies go through a ton of, and anything we send to Mars or whatever has to go through all sorts of treatments to try to kill, all the viable microorganisms. And it's very, very difficult to do that. Actually, be surprised. I mean, life, maybe you would be surprised. The reason we're here, life is very, very difficult to eradicate completely. So you hear people talk about sterility and pasteurization and things, and there's a huge difference between something that's pasteurized and something that's sterilized. And even sterilization within sterilization, that doesn't necessarily mean 100% viable organism or indicator parts free. It depends on how you define sterilization even. So it gets to this really this level of what is actually sterile, which people think of no viable microorganisms. So no living microorganisms. But you can also have parts of microorganisms that are still there. The DNA, for instance, is one example, or other parts and different things like that could potentially be reconstituted or could be transferred to another planet, that sort of thing. So it's more difficult in practice than just to say something sterile. And so to send something to Mars or another planet that is a native atmosphere, an environment that's not been contaminated with anything from Earth is a risk, for sure. We know many things can survive space, the vacuum of space, including higher organisms like the tardigrade, the water bear. You've probably seen pictures of
Yeah.
these things. These things survive space travel. They can, the vacuum of space, and many microorganisms can easily survive. And of course, DNA is basically no problem. It can survive very, very long distances. We believe inside asteroids or comets, whatever. It's thought we haven't found all the bases yet, but they found most of the bases of DNA in asteroids or comets that have come crashed on Earth.
Yeah, and my thought was sort of on the other side that we, in order to sustain us as human beings,
Yes,
are
there's that
dependent
part.
on these critters out there that in our environment that we're
Very
deeply
much true.
interwoven with, and
Yeah,
that, sending us up there to sustain us is crazy.
you're right
It's
about that,
just
and that's something I hadn't thought about it from that perspective, Hal. Actually, and that's a good way to think about it too. Is what would happen to the human biome with extended space travel? It
right,
certainly will
and
change. Any
it's
any
like they're
environment
not
changes.
yeah, it's like they don't think about that, and they think
Yeah,
about us as self-contained still,
yeah.
and I am not self-contained. I don't know if you've,
You're,
noticed this, but I
there's,
tend to
I mean,
just
on a
get
numbers
out
basis,
into the space I'm in and envelop the
yeah.
globe given the opportunity.
On a pure
Right
numbers
from the
basis,
bunker,
yeah.
right?
We're more
Yeah.
microbe than man. They think 10 to 100 times more microorganisms than human cells in your
I think
body,
I'm more I'm more
which is
gaseous
crazy.
than I am, anything else, and my wife would agree with this, actually. She's pointed out my gaseous nature. We were driving along one day, and I was, quoting the old Walt Whitman line because I had contradicted myself yet again, and she caught me in some contradiction. I was like, "Oh, well," going back to, I think, somewhere in
Never.
Those Grass, he says, "Do I contradict myself? So I contradict myself. I am vast and contain multitudes." She interpreted this as multitudes, and she said, "You certainly do." Of course, we, nearly wrecked the car laughing, but this is a good marriage. Yeah, that's what I believe is that at least
And what did your wife do, Hal? I think you told me something about this last time. I don't recall. What
she is the, HR director over
you said right.
Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership. And Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership, if you don't know, lobbies for hunting and fishing rights around the country.
Okay.
So they have some offices here in Yon and all over the place. Only about 40 employees full time, though,
Okay.
who are doing that work of trying to protect hunting and fishing rights around the country. And
So
she
rights for who?
tries to keep them
For the
all
public,
straight.
for the general public? Rights for the general public
Yep,
to hunt?
yep,
Okay.
yep,
Over private
yep.
industry.
Making sure that, that constraints are not, that resources are managed appropriately in terms of hunting and fishing, game, and that we're not actually, depleting our
Who's
natural
the funding source?
resources. We're
What's the
protecting the
funding source now?
lands that people want to hunt on or fish on.
All right. And the
And her
funding comes
father
from
was a
where?
great fisherman, so I think that goes back to her upbringing when she was making venison jerky, on the old stove in the house in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, where she was growing up after
So,
they'd been
so
up
who
at
funds that
camp.
now?
Hey,
Who funds that organization? That's not a government organization, correct? Or is
right. It's funded actually by people who are charitable, trcp.org. Say, go in there and, give them some money. And they will help you, you know more about your hunting and fishing rights and the resources around it. I think they got a lot of advertising out there too. I don't know. She's based in the National Press Club building. I was just walking around down there earlier
in DC?
today, watching the passing show as I do. Go ahead.
Is this DC? In DC?
Yeah,
Washington, DC? Is that where you're located? I didn't think
yeah,
you
I'm
were in
right
DC.
down in the middle of it all. At where you may not know DC's map, but I
No,
like to
not
for
exactly.
people who do. Just north of DuPont Circle, where
Okay.
Connecticut and Florida Avenue cross. If you were around in the '80s, I don't know if you look a little younger, but
Mm.
in 1981 there was an assassination attempt right at the Hilton, very
Reagan?
close to where I
Reagan?
live. I'm
Am I
right there.
right? Ronald Reagan? Ronald Reagan?
Yeah, I'm right there by the Hinckley Hilton, we call it.
Okay.
And John Hinckley ended up living in my
That's right,
parents'
Hinkley.
neighborhood in Williamsburg, Virginia, after they released him from St. E's. St. Elizabeth's was the hospital they put him in.
Interesting.
To get over his Jodie Foster fixation.
Right, that's right, Jodie Foster. I remember Reagan, everyone thought, I mean, Reagan, I would love to go back to Reagan. Reagan, people thought he was a radical and all this stuff. I don't really remember when I was a kid, but nowadays you look at Reagan, you're like, man, he was just plain old guy. I don't know, no everyday guy.
Well, and he was an actor, and he thought it was all.
Yeah, right.
There was this whole thing they did where he wasn't really sure it wasn't just. Well, how long is this production going to go on, Ed? He'd be talking to
Right.
Eddie's, his chief of
Monkey had the Bonzo the clown or
thought
something,
we'd
Bozo
be
the clown.
done shooting by now.
Yeah.
Where is Bonzo anyway?
Yeah. Bonzo or Bozo? Bonzo. Bonzo, I think.
Bonzo, actually.
He was
Bonzo.
a handsome man, as I
Jeff
recall,
Up.
as a youngster. Ronald Reagan, very handsome young actor.
Yeah, he was the Gipper in in that movie about you know when the Breaks are beating the boys, tell them go
Yeah.
out there and win one for the Gipper.
We
So
won.
yeah, that was Ronald Reagan. Um, and he was the governor of California during all
California.
the
Yep.
great
Right.
times when we
Right.
were, you know, making sure
Shooting
that
hippies and stuff.
LSD was no longer going to be available in Golden
Right.
Gate
He was the
Park.
guy out there telling the good National Guard to shoot the hippies and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and they had the funeral for the hippies. They actually had a ceremony out there where they took the hippie to his grave.
Now we're doing the
Um,
same thing. Seems like basically under Trump. Come full circle.
well, I don't know
Hey,
what's happening actually now.
yeah.
It's very bizarre.
It's weird. I live in California. Well, I don't live in California, but I live, essentially I live in California and of course across the border, but just south of San Diego. So I'm essentially, I feel like I'm in California, but I don't hear much about what happens in California, even though I live right here. And I spend a great deal of time in San Diego, of course, it's, right there across the border. But I just am kind of isolated from what's the happenings in California, particularly anything north of San Diego.
Hmm.
So, and I guess LA has been the focal point of a lot of the issues in California. I don't get that part very often.
Yeah, I've heard. Um, my building actually, I live in the same building as a representative from California, Maxine
Oh, dude.
Waters.
Oh, Maxine. Ah,
Yeah, Auntie Maxine, we call her. I don't think she knows me.
sure. I'm
We've
sure
only
she's watching
lived
the
here.
podcast right. Alice, she's
I've
probably
only,
watching us right now.
I've only lived down here underneath of her basically since 15 years now.
Right.
There's a guy right above me actually who is not her, but just in front of his place is hers. And I think she's got a couple levels of this building. I don't know exactly how the building is
She has
broken up.
multiple levels. Wow. So she's got some money then, obviously.
Yeah, it's a big building too. It's built in 1904 and it's got lots of units in it. My old well, how do I explain this? He's my cousin-in-law lived
Other than
here
one.
before he met my cousin who he married. and
Okay.
small world wise, it's like, oh,
That's
can't
not
believe.
incestuous, right? But I don't know the family tree thing all that well, but
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird, man. It is. And actually, I did family tree thing recently with I had David A. Andelman on. I mean, I don't know if you know David A.
I
Andelman.
know. And
He's this 80-year-old journalist. He's a Knight of the Legion of Honor.
I
So
don't
he's no joke, the French Legion of Honor, that is.
frankly, American.
He was a journalist and he was all over the world. At the end of, when the Khmer Rouge was coming on and he was in Phnom Penh, during
Wow.
those years
Fine.
as a main correspondent, I guess for CBS or I don't know. But
Huh.
yeah, he's got a thing called Andelman Unleashed, and he had the columnist on last Friday on his what he calls a Zoomversation. It isn't on Substack; it's a Zoomversation. But his Substack subscribers can go there, so I did, and he's been a guest of mine, which was nice of him. I thought very generous. And anyway, he had this guy who does the column called Charlemagne in The Economist. That
Okay.
English
Yep.
magazine. And
Always.
he said, and the guy's actually a lineal descendant of Charlemagne. And I was like,
He
yeah,
is.
so am I.
Okay. Wow.
So
Yep.
are you.
Got
But
the ancestry.
if you just have to,
Go
look
for
at
it.
the population of the world, and then you think,
Well, I'm
oh,
Italian, so I don't.
I've
But
got 2 grandparents, I got 4 grandparents, I got 8
mhm.
great-grandparents. You get back that far, you're descended from many more people than actually exist.
You know,
So, everybody's pretty much interrelated at that stage. I did the math, and I had one of these AI things, do check me on this, with pedigree collapse, they call it.
they're never wrong, of course.
So,
Who inevitably know?
intermarriages, and stuff.
We know
I
AI
knew
are never
this
wrong, of course. They're always right 100% of the time. For sure.
well, I knew this already from my grandmother did her research on her lineage from
Yes.
Big Shore, Long Island, where her family had settled in the 17th century, because she wanted to be a Magna Carta dame, right? These
Good.
are the
I hope that is, but
these are the women and men, the barons and the dames of the Magna Carta who can
okay.
trace
So they
their
get a certain title.
descendant.
I see. Nobility, a title of nobility. I see.
Yeah, they can trace their lineage down from the barons who forced King John to sign the Magna Carta at Runnymede, and you have to prove it, though. You can't just say it,
Yeah,
right?
you can't just do it. Right. Yeah, exactly.
So
I'm
you
going through a similar exercise
should
now.
get the
I'm trying to
research
get my
done.
Italian citizenship, and I'm going through the exact same exercise right now.
Oh yeah.
And I have all the have all I've actually proved it legally that I am an Italian citizen because they do this thing called citizenship by juris reis or juris reis by descent, essentially. And you have to prove an unbroken line of descent from on your father's side from Italy directly. And you have to have all the documents, the marriage certificates, the birth certificates, etc., to show that that happened was in fact the case, which it is. But the hard part is getting the documents and such is hard. So we went through this exercise and got them all. But actually filing all the information, which has to be done in Italy, in the Italian court system, to get your actual citizenship is where it takes time. But there are companies out there that do this. So we'll be using, once I get the final documents in place, we'll be using one of these companies to actually do the procedure itself. The idea being I want to get an Italian passport, basically so I can have the European Union, the Eurozone access as far as travel internationally. That's the main reason I'm doing it. So I'm very, very excited about it. Should be it's probably another year, maybe a year and a half or 2 years, and the process will be done. I've been working on it for 3 years now, or we've been working on it. Mostly my wife, I should say. We're working on it for about 3 years now. So very nice of her. But interesting process. But I learned a lot about my family history because of this effort to get this Italian citizenship. Kind of fun, kind of neat.
What else does your wife do for you?
Oh man, it's more easier, faster to say what she does not do.
Really?
She is a polymath. She is an intellectual of the highest order. A genius. She's a regular Doogie Howser. She skipped high school, went straight
Mm.
to college at age like 14. Went to college, graduated college at age 18. Was almost a lawyer, was almost
How'd
a
you get so
doctor.
lucky?
One way to put it. Yeah, I am actually. She's a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant person, and she's a research scientist now. And but she could do anything she wanted, frankly, and she knows everything about everything. She's almost as
Does she
smart as
work
me.
with
Like
you on your research stuff?
we
Does
did a
she?
little bit. We don't necessarily work the best together when it comes to that thing. But we do collaborate oftentimes for sure on on an intellectual level. Absolutely, we collaborate. In the lab itself on the bench, not as much, but we do or different areas. She's now in drug discovery, but she was in infectious disease for a long time. Worked on COVID vaccines. I mean, she was heavily involved in COVID vaccine research and has some key papers in the area in Science and Nature, like big time journals. I mean, she's a big time research scientist with all kinds of crazy skills and not way better than me than I ever was. So ever will
Well,
be. So
the drug discovery thing is kind of amazing right now, I think.
oh yeah, yeah. But the thing is, stuff they're funding is like obesity medication. This is what I don't think what she's working on now. What a lot of these companies in the drug industry are because that's where the money is, right? So
Well, you read my mind. My doctor, I just had a session with my doctor this morning,
yeah,
and she wants to get me started on something like that. If my
I mean
insurance will cover it, that
yeah,
is. And if my insurance won't cover it, we talked about how much that would be. And it's like, oh man, this system. I want to scrap the system, right?
you
I'm
should
one
see
of
it.
these guys who really thinks that we can just enable our AI overlords to do what's best for us and slap this damn
The singularity.
for-profit
Yeah.
insurance structure. It didn't used to
Oh,
be
it's
that
supposed to.
way. It was
Yeah.
the Nixon administration that did this to us.
So I knew it was him. Had to be
Pinky
Nixon.
Dick. Yeah, Pinky
That's
Dick.
right. He did this to us. It's his fault. Somebody told me it's the Rockefeller's fault the other day. With
Well,
all
the
the problems we have.
Rockefellers too, man. The Rockefellers are entirely responsible for me being here.
And science. Somehow they're the reason the scientists are so bad, according to somebody who was trying to tell me this. Why science is bullshit because of the Rockefellers. I'm not sure exactly what the connection was, but
Well, we got to dive into it because I'm telling you that they are responsible for me in the aspect that they bought my whole town
so
from
they're the
the
Williamsburg.
Rockefeller
They're
genuine.
responsible for the Williamsburg. Okay.
Yeah, Williamsburg, Virginia would not be called
Ah,
the Williamsburg
that's the Rockefeller.
Foundation. That was Rockefeller money that took W.A.R. Goodwin's vision. He was the rector of Bruton Parish Church there. And he had this vision to restore Williamsburg to how it was when George Washington was around.
Right.
Made it happen.
Including like the racism and all that stuff. I mean, what do they do about it? Like how do they do it? How do you handle that issue in a place like Williamsburg? I mean, because
What
those
issue?
times, racism and slavery and all that kind of
Well,
stuff. That
man,
was
when I was growing up, there was still flagpole monument, right? At
right.
this in Triangle Park where, let's see, Jamestown Road comes down, Richmond Road, they form a sort of a V, and the College of
Yeah.
William and Mary is right there.
Okay.
And then there's Boundary Street going up as Jamestown Road is peeling away.
Uh-huh.
And right in this little triangle park, there was this flagpole dedicated to the Ku Klux Klan. It was pulled down, I think, in 1964.
That's a
We were
60.
1 year olds.
What?
I was
Okay.
born in a
It's a
town that
monument to the
had a
Klan.
flagpole dedicated
Hardcore.
with, like, something to be proud of,
Well,
right?
64.
I
That's fairly long. I
Well,
hope it.
if you've heard the, Bruce Hornsby and the Range, right? That song, "The Way It Is,"
Yeah, yeah,
that was
correct.
a
Yeah.
big broke them
Good
open
song, yeah.
wide, you know? That was about
So that's a
growing up
racist
in
song. Okay.
Williamsburg.
Really
Bruce was, at James Blair High School when I was a kid.
interesting. I always get him and Bruce Springsteen mixed up. It's the Bruce
No.
thing.
Yeah, Hornsby is a little different. I get 'em mixed up too. It just happened to me the other day in one of the conversations. I was riffing off of something else about some friend of mine who has a film about the, relationships, counselor for Bruce Springsteen and his wife.
But
Guy
yeah,
named Terry Real, he's got a book out called Us.
but he had a relationship
Oh.
counselor for himself and his wife. His
Yeah,
own kid.
yeah, for Springsteen and his wife. Yeah, he's a celebrity kind of, relationships counselor guy.
Wait, he is a counselor, or he has a counselor for him and his wife, or him and his wife are counselors.
Springsteen has a counselor for himself and his wife, a guy named Terry
So,
Real, Real, Terry
and
Real.
then, boy, that'd be nice. That's what I
And
needed
my
to get.
fil
I'll talk
and
to my
my
wife
friend
about that.
Michelle is making a film about him, which is not out
Interesting.
yet, I don't think. And
Huh.
but she had done a couple of other documentaries, one on Daryl Hammond called Cracked Up, it was just largely about
Yeah, no, he went from the Saturday Night Live. Yeah,
yeah, and it's largely about, trauma-informed care
yeah,
because he was diagnosed with all kinds of shit that
yeah.
fed into his comedy.
Right, right.
He
Or
did a stand-up called, actually, his memoir, I think, is called, "God, If You're Not Up There, I'm Fucked."
he was pretty funny, dude. Yeah, pretty funny. Yeah,
Yeah, I really liked his Sean Connery thing where he would
yeah, I
do
did too.
things with, Will
Excellent.
Ferrell.
Yeah, okay. Great impersonations. I can't do impersonations at all. Terrible.
No, but he learned to do that to entertain his mom who tortured him.
Really. Huh.
Yeah,
Boy, I didn't know that. I'm
yeah, viciously.
like a narcissist, like she's like narcissist abuse type deal situation.
Or Munchausen by proxy or whatever, I don't
Oh,
know,
that's the
call it.
yeah.
But it was pretty horrific stuff that was visited upon him as a child.
Yeah,
And his father was a Korean War vet, with a lot of PTSD untreated.
right.
Though a
So a
good
healthy
guy,
family overall.
taught him baseball. Hey, what's that?
So a healthy family overall then. Must have been quite the home
Like
life.
most of our families, right?
Like all our families, right?
And I watched this thing with my mother. And
Yeah,
poor dear, she's in cognitive decline, and we didn't really understand exactly how far it progressed, but she didn't really
right.
get it. My father got it straight up, what I was laying down there, and, he appreciated it, I think. But, yeah, I wanted to make sure that, we get those messages out there as much as possible, so
I mean,
part
every
of
family.
what's done
You're
is
right though.
support
Every
those.
family's got major problems. And it's so funny. You see these families that on TV or wherever you see them, they look like they're perfect, and people are like, oh, that's the perfect family or whatever. And there's usually the level of dysfunction is equally equivalent, about equivalent or inversely proportional to the amount of dysfunction that it looks like on the surface. So
Well,
the
here in
better it looks,
DC,
the worse it is.
you're
It's just
absolutely
like,
right. I think we touched upon this a bit in our first conversation,
yeah,
some
we
of
may
your
have, yeah,
experiences, and
we may have.
you came pretty close to death a few times, right?
I did, yeah, I did, very close, or actually actually went there. I didn't know you asked.
And you made it back to tell the tale.
That's what you asked, but yeah, it was it's quite an experience, and
Well,
unlike many people,
we weren't sure if this isn't the afterlife.
not exactly sure. Yeah, I was not sure for 6 months. I was convinced. In fact, I was 100% convinced, as I said, that I was dead, and I was
Well,
just walking around. Maybe I was just walking around dead because I was still in this
last
ICU in
nanosecond
delirium
of
state.
consciousness
Right.
streaming itself out to
It's
tell you
weird living like
everything
that.
that would have happened had you not
Yeah.
died. And
That's,
I told you about that quantum immortality thing, right?
yes,
That
I've heard heard this thing too. Yeah,
yeah. Well,
but
I won't
just
go into that. Go do your own research, folks, if you're listening
yeah,
in.
yeah. It was quite an experience, and I don't know. And then the hospital experience was even weirder because just the being in there and the memories, like as I said last time, it's hard to disentangle those memories from actual events, that really happened in my life. And so sometimes I'll be telling a story or something like, wait, wait a second, that didn't actually happen. That was something I thought happened when I was in the hospital. And it's weird. It's so strange to think about it, and it's an unusual experience. But yeah, I'm glad. Like I said last time, I'm glad that I had it, as much as painful and horrible as it was. It changed me as a person big time. And I was sort of an asshole. I think before that, I'm still sort of an asshole, but I have a better appreciation, I think, for other people than I did. So
My wife has this running thing. She doesn't like The Big Lebowski at all, but
yeah,
she will use that line, "You're not wrong, Hal, you're just an asshole." What they use with Walter, "You're not wrong, Walter, you're just an asshole, all right?"
you're just yeah. That is a good one. And
Yeah.
that does apply to me sometimes, unfortunately, probably more time than it should. And I try to rein that in, but especially when I'm writing, like my asshole nature comes out a lot. And my wife points this out to me many times. He's like, Dan, I can't read your stuff sometimes because you're just such a dick sometimes. And I'm like,
Well, you gotta get up with my buddy Eric Knudsen then,
okay,
especially, uh, when it comes down to dick jokes.
yeah, yeah,
That's where he likes to go, and I was really I was like, "Okay, we're gonna keep it clean, right, Eric?" I said, "Nope."
yeah, yeah. No, we won't. I know some
We
people like
went
that.
we still went about 90 minutes. It was a lot of fun.
So
By
what
the
do you
way, I
write
wanna
these
be
days, Al?
respectful of your time. How much time do you
No,
Yes.
as much time as you want. And I was curious. I don't know that I've read a lot of your stuff. I don't actually know what you really write about. Do you write a lot, or is this podcast mostly what you do, or how much are you publishing? Or are you publishing a lot or not? Sad to say. Sorry, I'm telling you this. I probably should know this, but
I'm giving you the eye like, "What the"
please,
I
please.
don't know, man. I do
Like,
write a
are you a
lot.
writer? Do you view yourself? Let me ask you this question: do you view yourself as a writer?
I do now.
You do now, so you are a writer. Okay.
Well, I'm also a journalist, right? This is what
So you,
I really think of myself as somebody who's doing raw, in the moment, who,
so,
what, when, and where, and
yeah,
not a lot about how and why. I mean, who knows
yeah.
why?
Mhm.
But I'm taking in the
Well,
passing
I do.
ship.
I know why. Hal. You already need to know. That's me. But you can understand.
I'm listening for the secret.
And so I'm kidding. I get you though, but so I understand. So you're a journalist, which is not the same as a writer, in my opinion. I
Well,
mean, similar.
I walk around, and it's kinda like the old Bob Dylan song. I walk around, I stroll and sing, chase giant dinosaurs, make love to Elizabeth Taylor, catch hell from Richard.
So when you, I know
What
you,
was his song? I think it was called "On the Road Again" from Freewheelin'
anyway,
Bob Dylan. But go ahead, what
I know this song. I was gonna say when you publish something like, so what do you when you're writing stuff and you're publishing on say Substack or wherever? What's the topic area? Is it all over the place? Sort of like whatever.
well, lately, there have been a lot of explorations of the grief surrounding the loss of my father on, April 7th of 2024. Hey, Dad, you wanna make an appearance? Here he is. It's a
Mr. Gill.
portrait done by, Wayne
And it looks
Barrett.
like you ran. It
Wayne
looks like
Barrett was a pretty good portraitist,
yeah.
and he was also the guy who had the original idea for the Smithsonian Magazine and was the
Huh,
editor of the Colonial Williamsburg Journal. So I spent a lot of time my father was a consulting editor for the Journal at the time,
okay.
sort of in his retirement job. So, there would be different articles about whatever was going on in Williamsburg in this magazine. So I take
Is that
some
still
of
published?
those and I publish
That's still
those.
that's still in circulation. How that magazine
I
today? Is that magazine still in circulation today?
No, they discontinued it and they retitled what their official, Colonial Williamsburg Foundation publication,
Yeah.
Trend and Tradition. So
Yeah.
it no longer exists. Dad was the consulting editor of this copy. Did he have an article in here? Doesn't look like he has one in this one, but some other friends of his did, and
Okay.
one of them I actually saw recently. But I'm doing what I can to steward his legacy, as a historian because he was a historian. I've got
You were.
like his archives, things that I gave to him, like this one is a very nice portrait of Peter, Paul, and Mary I got for him
Huh,
because he
huh.
had escorted Mary Travers to the cabinet making shop in Williamsburg back in the 60s when they were down doing a concert in front of the governor's palace, or the
Mhm.
Capitol. Actually, I think it was in front of the Capitol to be precise. Who cares?
So he
But
so he was a hippie then. He was one of these hippies. He was one of these hippie types. He was what they would classify as a '60s radical or hippish.
actually, no, he was like crew cut,
Okay.
class of
He was like my dad then.
55. William and Mary class of 55, right? His father gave him the keys to a 55 Chevy upon his graduation, along with the payment book. In other words, get a job.
Yeah, the payment codes. There you go. That's not really a gift at that point. I don't know. Is that really a gift then? More of a
What's
punishment.
that? It builds character.
Right, builds character. I'm gonna try that.
But his father,
Oh my god.
I'm also preserving his legacy because, Harold B. Gill Sr. was the founder of Gill Electric Company in Orange, Virginia, after he got out of the war with some training in electrical engineering. And so he learned how to do all kinds of things, and the electrification of the area around Orange, Virginia was
Big deal.
happening.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
So they had a legacy there. My great grandfather run the hardware store on Main Street there. So you had this
Deep roots in the
patrilineal kind of thing there in Orange, Virginia, that my father comes out of as a historian, comes full circle,
uh-huh.
going back into our roots, they go back into the civil
He was
and
able to make a living as a historian.
revolution.
Like he was able to make a living, like enough money to
As a
do.
historian, yeah.
Yeah,
He
that's hard.
raised me from the pup as a
Huh.
historian for the Colonial Williamsburg
So it
Foundation.
is possible to do that.
Research historian, yeah.
It is possible.
And not teaching so much, just get
Not even teaching.
head down in the microfilm reader, going through all of these manuscripts, right?
But where did the income
Trying to
come
put
from?
flesh
Books,
on the bones, you know?
like
Yeah.
books and magazines, and where did they get the income? Where's the income come in?
It comes in all records that are available, and a lot of them were destroyed in the Civil War on the James City County side of that place.
Right. Okay.
On York
Right.
County, the York County records survived,
But no, but
and
where did
he
so how did he
decided
make
to
money? Like,
apply.
how did your dad make money as a historian? How did he make money as a historian to live? Like, where did his income come from?
Well, he's an employee of the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation. That money comes from the Rockefellers. When I
We got
say
a
I'm a
salary. Okay.
product of Rockefeller,
I see.
yeah,
I see. So the salary.
literally corn-fed on Rockefeller money, right?
Okay. Who determined the salary for his salary? The
Well, the Colonial
foundation.
Williamsburg Foundation, yeah. The foundation had a research department, and Ed Riley was the, director of that, and he was basically the equivalent of a department chair at the
That's college.
university.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my father, as a research assistant, was basically hired on in 1961, the
Huh.
equivalent salary of an assistant professor
Okay.
at the
All right.
College of William and Mary. He became
Okay.
an associate pretty soon thereafter, and then finally retired out of being a historian and went off to direct the Georgia Historical Society for about 9 months before coming back to Williamsburg because I couldn't do without him. And he worked for the Historic Trades Department thereafter. And that's near and dear to my heart, historic trades preservation.
Yeah.
Because you ask about where he's getting his information. He's getting it from accounts of like
Yeah.
transactions in ledger books, and
Gold.
he's going to wills and inventories, right?
Yeah.
And building out a picture of the population of the half of Williamsburg that was in York County. The half in James City County, you could sort of think was probably pretty similar, but those
Mm.
records were destroyed in the Civil War.
Huh.
So you didn't have them, but you had
Good
the
luck.
York County side. And he applied statistical analysis to those. He was one of the first people to use computer-driven statistical analysis on historic records. He sort of pioneered that, and they're still using it today. York County Project is called. And the data,
You are involved. You're
he
also
also
involved in
did
the
these
project
track
now.
maps, of how the properties
Yeah.
were. So you go out into the
Yeah.
swamps and find the boundaries.
Yeah.
So yeah,
On the swamp of Virginia.
so
Fun.
Harrowings is the publishing arm of the HBG Foundation LLC.org.
So
Which is like,
you're a legitimate business then. This is a legit podcast, not just some fat flash in the pants, nobody podcast.
it is sort of all that and more. It could be
Sure.
anything at any time. I never know.
So how many people have you
Reach
had
out.
back more than once, Hal, on your show besides me?
Oh, a lot actually. I've
Oh
had.
man, I thought I was gonna be the first
Just
one.
about. No, you're not the first. Actually, Case Stoner has got a standing 10 p.m. thing. Case Stoner's a
No, no.
relational AI investigator. I would call her.
Like I know that. Like I know Case Stoner. I don't know why, but maybe I don't.
I
But
hope you do. And I hope you know the
maybe
bathrobe. Already we have the bathrobe guy there. He's saying
yes, the
hello to
bathrobe.
people. You know the bathrobe guy? Have
I
you
do.
talked
I
to
know the
him at all?
bathrobe guy. I know the bathrobe guy from name recognition. The great, how can you not know the
And the
bathrobe?
fractal entanglement mass theory. Don't forget
Yes,
FEMT.
yes, he loves that. Love that. Stay entangled, my friend. That's his catchphrase. I need a catchphrase. I don't have one.
Peace, love, and meta.
I told him I would become a subscriber if he got me a bathrobe. He's working on it. He said,
Oh man,
paid
yeah.
subscriber.
I think we need official bathrobes. Everybody's got to
You're
have
right.
official bathrobe. I'm actually wearing my "Dead in the Desert" thing today for about the Grateful Dead having played the pyramids and
Yeah,
Giza. It's a pretty
yeah,
big deal in 1978, around the same time that they had the Camp David Accords between Egypt and Israel.
yeah. I remember that. I won't remember it, but I've read about it. I've read about it. Yeah. Huh. So I didn't realize the Grateful Dead had played there at the same time as the Accords were happening. That's
Yeah, they did. They negotiated it. They like got it in suits and stuff and went to the
so they
State
were involved. They were actually
Department
involved. That's interesting.
and
Not
got all the
funny.
stuff done. Phil Lesh talks about it in his memoir, which is called "Searching for the." What is it called? "Searching for the Sound."
Yeah.
So,
Saw them twice in Buckeye Lake, Ohio. The Dead when I was in college.
was that?
Uh, I saw them twice at a show, a Dead show in Buckeye Lake, Ohio. Twice actually when I was in college.
Yeah,
It's at the end of near the end of their time, and that's fun, of course. How can you not have fun with something like that?
I hitchhiked down in '84 to see him in Charlotte, and then back for Richmond the next night. That was it. I didn't go to any more. They were down in my neck of the woods quite a bit, though, at the
How bad is
mothership, as we call it, the Hampton Coliseum, and just wasn't interested. Bruce was. Bruce Hornsby ends up playing with them, right?
it?
Which I thought was pretty cool. I really liked the Fare Thee Well concerts too. Those were pretty good.
Well, you're a musician too, Hal. And I always forget that you're the fife, the expert
Oh, yeah.
fifer. The
Well,
only
that's
person
the
I
thing.
know who is a fife,
Well,
fife expert.
this is my old one.
There it is.
I
That
come
is,
from
you can beat
yeah.
someone with it as well. It's
From
also a
like
music stick.
1990 or so, I got Tim Sutphin gave me this one. He was the manager of the corps, and actually he had been a little younger than me. I think I might have even had him in one of my classes or more.
So what is that made out of, Hal? Wood
This
or
is
is that metal or
Coca-Cola. This is Coca-Cola wood.
wood? Okay.
Can't really get it anymore
Huh.
because it's an endangered species.
I bet.
'Cause they aren't making more of them in this wood, but kind of nice that these are very evenly spaced holes. That's the old pitch. And you see how they kind of chamfered their fingers a little bit. Those are sweet. Um,
So how does that differ
but
from a flute? I mean, what's the difference, or a piccolo? Or I hear all these. I don't know anything about instruments, so you're way out of
no
my league.
keys. There are no
Yeah.
keys to make a fife
Okay.
sound good. Right? There's nothing good about the sound this makes. It's shrill and it's
Well, it's supposed to be, right?
piercing.
That's the idea, right? He's in
The whole
battles. It's
idea is right. You want to be able to transmit it. And I didn't know this until I had Skip Healy on. I've had him on a couple times, just two.
uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
you're even with Skip Healy now.
Okay.
But he is, Yankee Magazine called him the world's greatest fifer. And he
Oh, so you're not
now
you. Wait a
based,
second. I thought you were the world's greatest piper. I've been telling everybody that was you.
no, I'm far from it.
All right.
Very far
Or
from it.
two.
Actually, I'm pretty rusty. I'm off in condo in DC. If I practice, my neighbors, they don't like it.
They must love that. They must love you.
Anyway, so
That pipe guy.
Skip informed me about this. I did not know it. He's in Switzerland where he makes flutes, keyed flutes, like
Okay.
wooden ones. They're keyed. They're
Old
beautiful.
school. Yeah.
He's going to do like 40 more and then he's done. So get them while they're hot, folks. Go
So what, how much what
skiphealy.com.
did they sell them for? Like $20,000 a pop or something? Like they're expensive ass flutes, I bet.
They're probably pretty pricey. I don't know his prices.
You don't know.
I have to look him up.
Okay.
But anyhow, getting back to this guy, he told me about fifing and how fifers came to be in Switzerland, and fife and drum culture goes back into the Swiss,
I think
particularly
they're
around
fun.
Fasching, which is this big celebration they have around springtime and such.
Huh.
But getting back to why Swiss fifers and drummers, because of military music,
Yeah.
apparently the Swiss were legendary fighters. And
Yeah.
they would use banners before the time of gunpowder. But after gunpowder, they needed fifes and drums because the smoke obscured the flags. But if you saw these flags coming and then you heard the fifes and drums piercing through the smoke,
Um,
you knew to get out of the way or die.
Swiss. So this is hard for me to swallow here. The Swiss
I thought so
fear
too. I thought the
fear
Swiss
fighters.
made cuckoo clocks, right?
Right? It's the but now
No,
the peace loving Swiss, right? These are the
no,
neutral,
no, they're
ever neutral.
neutral because nobody will F with them.
Now they're all actually expert marksmen, I understand, because you have to have
And
a carry a gun. You have to
they
learn
will
how to
just,
shoot.
and they will leave not your women, not your children, not your cattle, nothing live when they come
Hmm.
after you. So you either move or you're dead.
I did
So
know a
that
couple
was
Swiss.
fife and drum. That's what
I
fifers
did
are
know
for. There was where if you hear the fifes coming, you hear
that's
the
a
drums
Swiss.
are drumming. You probably don't want you either want to join together with the band or you want to get out of the band's way. Oops. And now all of my fifes just started.
All of them. You got more than one. Who needs more than one fight, pal?
Yeah, I have a lot of them actually. This is the one used and it just jumped into my hand weirdly. Um, it would do that, wouldn't it? This is one I used in the Pride of America Fife and Drum and Bugle Corps and the Pride Parade in DC this time. It's the first time I participated in the Pride Parade, but I was very happy to do it. I got this one in 2011 at the Deep River Ancient Muster, and you see how beautifully
It's pretty.
colored it is.
Is
Ron Peeler is the maker of
there
that.
a set length for the fight? It has to be a certain length, or can it be
Yeah, it has to
multiple?
be well, I mean, they're different keys, right? So this one is a Clues fife, and I think it's in like the key of F. It's not going to play well with my key of A. Um, Cooper.
By the way, Hal, this is a great way to get viewers of a podcast, this deep discussion of the fight.
Yeah, maybe. You know, you never know. You never know what's going to do it.
I
We
find
take it back to
I
biochemistry, I think, and
love these.
things like
I
that.
actually love learning about stuff like this. I find it so endlessly fascinating. The minutia of things, like, you know what I mean? Because people are so into different things, and I find that so endlessly fascinating that they can the people and I don't look down, I don't value judge, you know, what's they get so into their thing, and I think it's awesome. I really think it's cool, and I like to ask about it. They get all excited when they talk about it. And it's fun to learn, I think, about other people minutia.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the whole idea I have as well. It's fun to learn about other people, and particularly about the harrowing things we go through. Like we were
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about nearly dying, and then thinking you're dead for how long was it? You thought you were dead?
Probably
6 months? No,
six months. There's not a set endpoint or a set you know, there's not really an endpoint. It's sort of a gradual, it's like a gradual diminishing because it's not like you wake up one day and say, "Oh, wait, I'm not dead. I wasn't actually dead." You know, it's like you're living because you're living, obviously, and you know, just like I said last time, you have to or pay the bills, you have to eat, you have to do all these things that you do when you're living, and eventually you just come to accept that. Well, that's you're living, you're alive. I can't. It's hard to explain. It doesn't make a
the
lot of sense when you say it
evidence.
out loud, but
You got the evidence,
it doesn't really make sense to say it out loud. But that's sort of what it was like. You just all
but
of a
it
sudden you're like,
doesn't
well,
feel
I'm living.
real, right?
If the real world hits you, I guess you become reacquainted with the reality of the real world that you're in, and that's what it is. So even if you are dead, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter because you still got to eat and all these other things. You know,
All
so,
those other things, those
right?
things. Yeah.
Money, all these things you need, you got to have it, or you want to have. Most of the things you want to have, only few things you actually need, but many things you want to have, and uh, it's
There's
interesting.
all kinds of ways in which we put things in one end and have them come out the other. And then we end
Yeah,
up wearing those tubes out, and we have to figure out how to make new tubes. And
yeah.
one thing leads to another, and here we are.
So Hal, let me ask you a question. I'm curious. Do you have any experience with personality classification systems like
Oh,
Myers
right.
Briggs
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
five love languages?
I
What's
mean,
your opinion?
my wife
Of
is a
this?
human resources director, right? So she
Okay. Oh
must
yeah.
have these skills, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think? How accurate are they, or are they useful in your job or her job? What do you think?
I think they can be useful, but the thing is, they're not like boxes you can put people in.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, we're all varied. Multivariable calculus is happening here, and it's not possible to really distill us all down into like extrovert, intuitive,
Right. Right.
perceiving, judging.
Yes.
Is it judging? I forget how they go. But
There's so many ways you can do it. Yeah, you can, but you have to be put into some sort of a box. Otherwise, everyone's just an individual and everyone's different. But these systems, by their very nature, say that everyone's not different. There are certain tendencies that
the
groups of people
patterns,
fit
yeah,
into. They're patterns,
patterns.
right? So So no one at that level, otherwise they're useless as systems if there's in some grouping at some level, other
I
than
love
each.
the archetypes, man. I just love the
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
trickster.
yeah.
Especially
There's
'cause I'm a trickster. I like being a trickster. I think that's my
yeah.
spirit animal is like Hermes, right?
They've just taken it such a science level now. I don't know if you're familiar with not the literature necessarily, but the latest and greatest in that area. It's called the predictive index, which is really very hot in the business world. Has been for
Okay,
a while now, but even
let
hotter.
me look it up.
And it's called the predictive index. It's a scientific, very they say it's a very scientific approach using the latest mathematics and statistical models, all the latest data from psychologists about personality.
It's a software company.
It's a basic software company, yeah, and it's got a lot of traction in the business world because people have used it and successfully so. And I've talked to many business leaders that I know personally who have used it to great success in their own businesses to improve results because it allows them to put people into jobs that they'll fit better based on their personalities and allows them to keep people who would click potentially away from each other potentially. It's done wonders, at least in testimonies I've heard, done a lot for them. So because of that, then there's been a lot of these testimonies. It's got spread pretty far and wide. And it's getting used, I think, more and more widely. But it is basically, it's a Myers Briggs deal. Everybody gets put. I've taken the test myself. The test you take is I recall, it's essentially a list of words. There's like, I don't know how many, 200, 250 of them. And it's like, which of these words do you think apply to you? And you circle the ones. And then there's list, which do you think others think apply to you? And you circle the ones. And then they take that data and they generate your profile based on it.
Yeah,
Something like,
behavioral and a cognitive assessment,
yeah,
right?
it's an interesting combination of things, but it's all based on this one test you take basically. And,
Explore the
it's
full
very, it was quite accurate actually. What the output for me, I thought was spot on as far as what it said about what my tendencies and that sort of thing. And they're very careful about the way they word, the capabilities and it's got a lot, it's just a tool and all those sorts of things they say, which is right. You can't,
Is she
it's
on the
not going to be
payroll?
it's just quite interesting. I just has a lot of unique characteristics about it. And the biggest one being all the data that's gone into it and the scientific, quote, scientific or math, I guess, that's gone behind it as far as the
Well,
statistical
I definitely
systems.
have to tell Lynn about it if she isn't
Yeah.
already on it. I'm sure she
Quite expensive, of course, as you might imagine. They charge an arm and a leg or to train people to be interpreters or assessors of the data. There's a whole art behind the interpreting the results and presenting the results to the client. It's not as like
yeah,
you just get a readout and say, here you go. It's not supposed to be like that. There's supposed to be a discussion and kind of so the person understands what it means and what it doesn't mean, and it has the appropriate kind of caveats to it. But I find it fascinating and I find it interesting, but I also have a lot of concerns about it, which is why I write about it
you got
because I think it's
concerns about it and you're writing about it. Okay.
yes,
I
because
was
I'm
act
concerned. I just
I
got a
was
lot of concerns
asking you.
about. Yeah, that's why I'm writing about it is because of the concerns I have about overuse and misuse of it. Because there could be a lot of that, in my opinion, especially in big companies with HR departments like your wife. Perhaps she's not in a big company, but if you get certain rules, if you will, codified into hiring
Well, she's
practices, that
definitely plugged into the
yeah,
Society for Human
it
Resources
potentially has
Management.
a lot of potential for misuse and or just abuse or just not using it the right way. And in
Right.
that case, you really can hurt your business. You hurt people, you can hurt everybody if you don't do this. You know,
Yep. So you write about this a lot.
I've been
Hey, I lost your sound.
my back.
You back.
So yeah, I'm pretty gregarious. I'll write about anything, but right now my mind has been on this personality classification topic. So I've been writing about it a lot. And now I'm moving on to again a different thing now, which is astrology. I'm back to being fascinated by
Astrology.
astrology.
Did
And
I give you
truly,
Cosmos and Psyche to work with yet?
I have if you did. I saw that book. I am absolutely fascinated by this right now, and I think, I'm writing something, I don't want to say too much about it, but I'm really interested in this topic because it just
Yeah.
is blowing my mind a little bit. Whenever something does that to me, I have to I have to write about it. So actually, I have to go, Hal. I have a
All
delivery
right.
here that I have to ride. It was
All
good
right.
talking to
Very
you.
good. Well, it's nice
We'll catch up.
talking to you again, and we'll
All right,
catch
man.
up again sometime.
All right, thank you. Later.
Well, I'll look this up. Thanks.
Later.
And for those of you who's still with us, if you are, we're wrapping up with the everyday junglist. He's got a delivery coming in, so we went all over the place as usual. I do that with just about anybody. Sometimes a little more structure. It depends on who's on and what we're focused on. We can be very focused. I'd like to get more focused actually on some of the AI things I'm interested in, but we'll see how that evolves. So we got about 15 people left, and I don't know if anybody said anything. There was a great show from Origin. Thank you. My brain is logical and scientific, too logical and scientific for astrology. Try out Cosmos and Psyche, though. I always recommend people, take in information and then use your prefrontal cortexes to judge, you know, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. I'm a big fan of Robert Anton Wilson's maybe philosophy, Maybe it's true. Maybe I ought to take a minute and think about whether it's true or not. Who knows? I don't know. I could be wrong. It's happened before. Always shocks the hell out of me. But anyway, everyone needs a bathrobe. Okay. What else we got there? Good times as always, Hal. Peace and meta. Thank you very much. I think we will wind down here. I'm tired and housekeeping is in. I don't know if you can hear them bumping around in the background, but it's good to get out of the way. Housekeeping, let them do their jobs. And then go out and walk and talk. I think I will go live outside and with the passing show as I am apt to do and do a little bit of walking around and seeing what's happening. I got to pick up my wife anyway in about another hour or so. Fascinated by metaphysics. Yes. Um, do look up Richard Tarnas, Tarnas, and his work on Cosmos and Psyche and see what else he's doing these days. I haven't caught up with him in a long time, but I did run into him down at the Jung Institute because I actually, got connected to the everyday junglist because I didn't realize he was talking about jungle music. And I like that too. But I thought he was Junglist, and a lot of people do. So it's not that. All right. Out here. Oops, I think. I just touched something. There it is. End button. Bye.